Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 70. Happy Tuesday night. I hope your week is going good so far, as much as it can in 2 days.
I think we must have been doing this for like 10 years if we're on
I know. Episode 70.
70.
So I told you a reminder that came up in my Facebook thing.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, I thought it was a year ago. It's 2 years.
Gotta move the chair out because one
Yeah.
of the cats might join us.
We
2
saw,
years ago.
We saw Hamilton in Chicago.
No, I thought it was just last year.
But it has it from 2019.
Yeah, it's 2 years ago.
I know. Because I was thinking that makes sense because the last time we went out to dinner before the lockdown was in March. And so I was thinking that did make sense that we saw Hamilton, but I guess it was the year prior, which is so crazy.
Yep.
So Hamilton is no longer in Chicago. I believe it is just in New York. And then a play that we saw in New York, Dear Evan Hansen, is now, not obviously now because of COVID, but occupied the same space. So as soon as Hamilton moved out, then that Dear Evan Hansen came, which I thought was funny that they kind of swapped.
That's true.
And also
it's a story for another time because
Yeah.
I have opinions about Dear Evan Hansen, but
Okay, well, we'll have to make a note of that.
but Hamilton was great.
Amazing.
Hamilton.
Hamilton. Yeah, I'm glad you liked it because I listened to the soundtrack like on repeat for so long, and that whole week
I knew I would like it.
prior to that, I literally like all day at work. While I was working, I was listening to it.
The thing is that I don't get that excited about musicals generally. I mean, but it's always, going to a theater is always an experience. Anyway.
Definitely.
But I kind of knew that this would be different and better than the average one because I like the idea of incorporating hip hop into musical theater. You know, they've tried to, well, somewhat successfully with rock, just straightforward rock music over the years. Rent was like that.
Love Rent.
And you know, it works to varying degrees of success. But I think hip hop actually lends itself better to musical theater because the whole idea of musical theater is that the lyrics of the song are telling the story.
Yeah.
And that's what hip hop is all about. So it kind of makes sense to me that it would work in that context. And obviously it's not all hip hop,
No.
but there's a heavy influence. I thought that was really creative. I know it's not the only musical I ever did that with, but I thought it was very creative, and to me that combination works well.
And actually, do you remember when it came out in the movies, and then it was like available so you could watch it, and
Yes.
you haven't done it? And I had visions of watching it with our daughter because she really wanted it. Do you remember? I was like, we're gonna watch
Yep.
it together and everything, and she wanted to watch it by herself.
Yeah.
So we never actually even watched it because we had already seen it. So I just thought it was something fun that we wanted to do. And she was like, "That wasn't my plan," and I was like, "Okay."
And I think that was after we saw it, right?
It definitely was. Yeah.
But interesting that you mentioned that because we had a pretty bad snowstorm that night. We drove into the
Yes.
city. Fortunately, it's not a very long drive for us, but it was really coming down when we were driving into the city. And, parking, and then we were kind of waiting in line outside in the snow. By the time we got out, it was basically over with.
Yeah, and I just remember like,
But it was pretty
please don't
funny.
let anything prevent us from getting there because it was just kind of like one of those things. And we actually left earlier because we thought it was going to be bad, and it wasn't.
It didn't really. I mean, it was just slow, but it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't bad. But I remember since we've gotten so much snow lately, it kind of is a funny thing. I actually went out and shoveled the snow after we got back, because I didn't want to have to do it Sunday morning.
Yeah, and actually, that's another funny thing that came up in my time hop from February of 2014, that they had predicted another 22 to 25 inches of snow. I don't know if it happened, but it was like a cumulative amount of snow in February of 2014.
Was that the year that everybody stayed home from school?
It might have been. So maybe it did come true. So
We had one of those in February because I remember it was one of those winters where we had like no snow all the way through January, and then in the month of February we got the entire winter's
Winter.
worth of snow. So by the end of the month we were actually a little bit above average, and it was one of those times. And I don't remember for sure if it was 2014, but I know that it was in February And it was one of those times where, people driving home on Lakeshore Drive just got out of their cars and left their cars. There was a huge, huge, like, once in a lifetime blizzard in Chicago in 1967. And I just barely remember because I was pretty little back then. I remember playing in the snow, is what I remember. But there are famous pictures from this 1967 snowstorm where there are city buses and cars just nearly buried in snow on Lakeshore Drive, just stopped dead. Doors open, people just left because they couldn't go anywhere. And the same thing happened that time, whether it was 2014 or earlier. But and the worst part about this one was that everyone had advance warning.
Exactly.
They were talking about this blizzard coming for days.
And it warned people, stay off the road, stay home if you can, don't travel, all that stuff.
It got really bad about mid-afternoon, 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And so everybody said, oh, now we have to take it seriously, and took off
to get home.
And they got stuck. And, people who took public transportation just got home. They didn't really have that much of a problem because the subways obviously aren't affected by it. And even the L lines above ground, not affected by it. So there you go.
Which is funny, and when you think about it, it's always been, at least in the last several years, where it's like we don't have much snow in the fall, and like in the beginning of winter. So then to me, it's like, oh my gosh, we're not going to get any snow this year because it's like green grass and everything. And then we do get pummeled with it in January and February and March. But then I always think, like, my birthday's in March, our anniversary's in March. It's been warm weather, so I think about those days where, on actually the day that David and I got married in 1995, March 11th, it was 74 degrees.
Now everyone's going to know your passwords to all your stuff.
Right. I changed everything. So that was unusually warm. So it was amazing because I didn't have like a jacket to wear over my dress, and I was like concerned of like, what am I gonna wear? And then it was like so warm on our wedding day, so that was lucky.
We get we get some fluky weather in March, but now that we had the snow, we had a week ago today we had snow. We got about 5 or 6 inches. And then it didn't really melt because it was still pretty cold in the interim. And then Sunday we got hammered.
It like snowed for like 24 hours.
Yeah, it started, a little bit more than that. It started like mid-afternoon, 3 o'clock or so on Saturday. And it basically snowed nonstop till around 5 or 6 o'clock on Sunday. And then a little bit more after that. So we got around a foot of snow. I'm not going to look it up.
In the backyard, because the drifts of snow, it literally comes up to like my waist. That's how high it is.
Yeah. But now we're going into this business. So it's going to be pretty warm or decent, the next couple of days, a little bit above freezing. Then Friday, the high temperature is supposed to be 16 degrees. That's the high temperature.
No.
Same on Saturday. The high temperature on Sunday, 3 degrees. With a low of minus 8. And then it's going to be like bitterly cold all the way through next week.
That's just wrong. Our
so
kids are going crazy.
I was complaining about that, and a friend of mine who is a lawyer, he lives in Denver, but he's from around here, now lives in Denver, pointed out that a high temperature in Denver today was like 64.
Oh, geez.
But they get fluky weather.
They do.
I remember years ago, this is a long time ago, it was probably 1992. It was a year that they had Winter Olympics. I know that. In Mexico on vacation, and it was during the Olympics. It was in February. It was during the Olympics, and wanted to watch the hockey, some of the ice hockey. And so it so happened in the resort we were staying, they had Denver channels on the cable, right? And so I don't know what network was covering the Olympics, NBC or whatever. So we're watching effectively a local Denver affiliate of NBC or whatever.
Right.
Watch the hockey. And, when they go to the break, there's a little weather report or whatever. And it was like 70 degrees in Denver in February.
That's crazy.
And then, but the worst part about that trip, though, was that was one of those real mild Chicago winters. So we got back. It was similar to when we went on our honeymoon. We got back. It wasn't really that cold after we got back.
Yeah, once we had our wedding, I was like, okay, now it can get cold again because we're going somewhere warm, and I want you guys to be cold for somewhere warm.
This is one of those I mentioned before. My friend John refers to this as a stream of conversation where you just talk about random things that are seemingly unrelated. And it's funny because tonight we happened to catch a little bit of the Office episode.
Yes.
Where Michael Scott is in New York and he starts rambling on, and then they cut away to him in the hallway, and he says, "I had to look it up to get the exact words." He goes, I love this because it's so true.
It is. We're doing it right now.
We're doing it right now. Sometimes I'll start a sentence and I don't even know where it's going. I just hope I find it along the way. And this is the part I forgot. Then he says, it's like an improv conversation, and then he calls it an improversation.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like an improv conversation. That's kind of like what we do now.
It is. But I kind of think it's easier to do that than try to think of like a theme, and then what are we going to talk about, and then, do something.
Well, we had a little bit of a theme, which was the weather being terrible.
Yes. And then my memories. And then unfortunately there's another memory of Smokey 8 years ago. I said, this is my cat Smokey. But obviously we'd had her for a while before I posted that. And it's not like I had to introduce her.
Or
Him.
Thunder.
See, now I'm getting confused because we had boy cats for the longest time. Now we've got 2 girl cats, so now I can't even keep it straight.
The cats don't care.
They don't.
They don't even know what the words mean.
Yeah.
They don't take offense.
But we were just talking about this. Like, this Saturday, we will have them for a month already, and it seems like they've been part of our lives for the longest time. And they love this house so much, and all the nooks and crannies, and all the different places to hide and run around. So our daughter has brought a little toy for them, and it was like a stick that had feathers on the end. The feathers are now gone. Now there's just a stick, and it's
You're
pretty
supposed
long.
to, wave it back and forth and chase after the feathers.
It's pretty long. It's like this long. And so last night when David and I were watching TV, we heard thump, 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 thump down the stairs, and here comes Gordon. She's got it in her mouth, and she wants to sit it down and play with it.
She's holding it in her mouth, and Waffle's chasing behind her.
Yeah.
So it's almost like she was doing it on purpose. And they did it this morning too. And they bring it in the middle of the room and drop it down and look at you like you're supposed to pick it up.
Yeah. So it's very cute, and they, I don't know, they just have fit in so well here.
Gordon to jump up here.
Yeah.
Gordon. Yeah, she's on a mission. She's got something else.
So I thank you for thinking about us getting cats again, because that was like such a great idea.
Well,
And it's like one of those things where it's just like you don't know after you've had a cat and cats for such a long time that, do you just turn around and just get another one right away, everything. I know for sure after Smokey, when she passed away in September, that he...
It really doesn't matter because they don't care.
Just talked about this. Smokey, I love you.
He was a good cat.
Yes. But then it's like you get other ones now, and they like just fill up just our house with joy. So. And
they're completely different. I mean, he was a great cat. These are great cats, but they're just completely different, which is good actually. You don't want a carbon copy.
No, and originally we had talked about getting older cats. We're like a couple years old, everything. So getting
nice and calm,
and not at all. So these ones, just because they're kittens, they just like to get into everything. So it's kind of funny.
They like the food. They like our food, I mean to say.
Yes.
Oh, I thought sure she was going to jump up. Instead, she just tore up the stairs.
And then she's going to come back around and then come around the circle again.
Yeah.
Our first floor, you can actually go in a circle from all the rooms, so they like
it's
to
more
run.
like an oval, I think.
Yeah, it's like an oval. It would be weird if it was just a circle.
It would be weird if it
our
was
house is a circle.
Yeah, yeah.
It's unusual. Just kidding. So that's kind of fun. And I was just thinking about this too, that whenever I go back to work, it's going to be weird.
Are you ever going back to work?
Probably not. Not for a very long time. But how weird it'll be just because, like, today, for example, like, they were both sleeping on the carpet right in my room that I was working in, and just being able to take, pictures of them. And I did do the trick where you could take a hoodie and turn her around so the hood's here. And when Gordon was sleeping, I did put her in my arms, but she was kind of heavy, so I kind of had to like just hold her like that. But she did fall asleep in it for like 5 minutes.
You need a back brace.
Yeah,
or like one of those weightlifting belts.
Yeah, exactly. Or the baby Bjorn, for the baby, just kind of like wrap that up, put him in there, and then they could just like hang the whole day. I don't know if they would do that or not.
Maybe not.
Probably not.
Although they do get sleepy, especially late in the afternoon, and then they're very pliable. They're sort of like liquid.
Yeah.
Yeah, you pick them up and they just kind of like, fall all over and everything.
So, we're gearing up for the cold, and actually I was thinking on Saturday when it's super frigid out, we're walking to get our tattoo.
Yep.
It's literally like a 3-minute walk, so it's not going to be terrible.
It's going to be 3 cold minutes.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be 3 cold minutes.
Then we'll have to stop into the cleaners on the corner, since I told the woman who worked there our entire life story last Saturday.
We dropped off, he dropped off shirts, and then I stayed in the car. And then I didn't really think that you were in there for a really long time. But anyway, so David got back
just
in.
while she was, filling out the,
right. He's like, I told her that we're getting tattoos for our wedding anniversary and all that stuff. So
because it was the dry cleaners is essentially right next door to the tattoo place. So, in fact, I think that the tattoo place used to be a barber shop that I went to. My dad and I both went to, which is actually pretty funny. Because we didn't exactly have the same kind of hairstyle. But that place was there forever, that barbershop. And I can't even think of the name. In fact, I don't even know if it had a name. I think we just referred to it by the guy. It was a one-person shop, and now it's a one-person tattoo shop. But yeah, so I don't know. We're just making small talk, and she said I could pick up the stuff on the next Saturday. I said, oh, yeah, we'll be right next door getting tattoos.
Yeah, we're going to be busy.
And we had a whole conversation about it because one of her kids, she has an adult daughter who'd gotten a tattoo there, and then her daughter's cousins and whatnot.
Right.
So it was a whole long conversation.
So I was thinking that when we go, should we bring like, a bottle of water, snacks,
I thought you were going to say a bottle of something else.
Yeah. Should we bring the bottle of Jameson?
We still have some Irish whiskey.
But I was thinking we'd bring something to drink since we're going to be there for a little bit.
It's going to take a little bit.
But I'm super excited. It's happening. We're doing it. So we'll just chalk this out. Just doing marathon, getting a tattoo.
We're not doing a marathon now, though.
No, but I mean, just like something crazy that we did.
We were watching a show. There's a trivia show on Game Show Network called Masterminds, and it's just a trivia show, and it's kind of a nerdy trivia show. So I like it because it's in some ways even nerdier than Jeopardy, but it's similar,
And the questions are quite challenging.
The questions can be difficult. So they do this at the idea is they have these 3, masterminds, these 3 sort of experts who compete against each other, and then 3 contestants who compete against each other, and you get down to one mastermind who wins on their side and one challenger, and then they go head to head, right? So the second to last round, before the final round, they do sort of this timed thing where they ask the 2 remaining masterminds a series of questions very quickly, and they have to buzz in before they can answer.
And
they do the same thing with the
contestants
to figure out which ones are going to go head to head. So they asked this question, and I actually had to stop, rewind it, and then videotape the question and the answer, because I've never seen this on a game show where they had clearly the wrong answer.
Yeah.
There's no question that what they thought was the right answer. It's like the moops.
It is.
In Seinfeld and Trivial Pursuit.
Right.
The question was, and it's not verbatim, but it was essentially this: what is the only Olympic swimming event? And they even this is how she phrased it. What is the only Olympic swimming event? They even said swimming event, not just event generally.
Right.
The only Olympic swimming event where you have to swim in open water. And the correct answer was the marathon. Not the triathlon, which it obviously is the triathlon, because the swimming leg, you swim in open water.
Right.
I've done triathlons before.
We did not have to run in the water.
We've run marathons. Obviously, you don't do it in the water. I've never seen an incorrect question on it. Like sometimes on Jeopardy, the person will give an answer that deviates slightly from what they think is the right answer.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, after a commercial break, they'll say, well, we decided to give you the points anyway, or whatever. Well, that's an acceptable answer, whatever. But here, it wasn't a matter of interpretation. It was just dead wrong.
But then it ended so quickly that there was no resolution of it.
Right.
It just kind of like ended.
Neither of the
Masterminds
rang in, so because the time was running out. But I couldn't believe. I thought it was so funny, and it's not a live show, so they must have had. It must have been a taped episode, and someone must have known somewhere along the way that can't be right.
The right answer.
I want to see that though. I want to see a marathon where
in open water.
It's
in
in
Olympics.
open water.
It took 3 days.
Yeah, it's like one of those. There's that race out in. I can't think of the name of it now. I used to know the names of all these really crazy long races. There's one that's over 100 miles.
Is it have bad in the name of it? Is it the bad?
Well, I think it's 127 miles or something like that.
Wait, the run is 127 miles?
Something like that. And it starts in Death Valley. I'll look it up here.
Okay.
We'll find it for sure. See, now there's the Western States Marathon, 100-mile run. That is 100 miles literally. This one is longer than that though. Hardest races in the world. This is from Runner's World. They'll identify this one for sure. And interesting thing about this particular race. Now, of course, we won't be able to find it in this. And there'll be a million pop-up ads while we're going. There's one, this might be the one that I saw. This one is just a straight marathon. But it takes place in Morocco, in the desert. And honest to God, I looked this up one time because there was a Chicago... No, I didn't have to look it up. It was in the article. There was a runner from Chicago, the Chicago area, who was training for this marathon. And in the article, they talked about one of the things you had to do. It was like a 7-day event. It wasn't a straight marathon. It was a 7-day event. One of the fees you paid was a non-refundable corpse repatriation fee.
Yeah.
So they can send your body back if you die while you're doing this.
And I'd be like, yeah, let me sign me up. Sign me up.
Yeah. Oh, see, now I won't be able to find it. I want to say it's 127. It's out in California. It's one of these things that's, in the desert.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's
not the Western States 100. That's the one that I think... it's the Badwater 135. It's 135
I had bad
miles.
right, so yeah.
We don't script any of this, and we don't look things up ahead of time. It's 135 miles, and I looked up one time on the website for the race. Normally when they do these races, there's a course map, and it'll show every mile or whatever, and it'll show where the aid stations are. This one didn't have an official course map. It had a description of the course. And it had all these, you go down this road and you turn left and you did, and at the end of a series of directions it said, first marathon. That's when you finished your first 26.2. And then it went on a second marathon, third marathon, fourth marathon, fifth marathon, sixth marathon.
Yeah.
And somewhere around there, it's 135 miles. So, somewhere around there, you're basically near the end.
No.
It takes some people over 24 hours, start to finish.
Oh my gosh. It took me like 6 hours and 45 minutes to finish one. So I can't imagine doing it. If I was a faster runner and I could do like a 5-hour marathon, that would be amazing. I could probably do it, but I can't go that fast.
And on more than one occasion, now this is terrible because I don't know the person's name, but on more than one occasion, the overall winner, the person with the fastest time start to finish, was a woman.
Yes.
And she was on David Letterman.
And I think I read her book, where when she was training, she and her family would be like going somewhere, and then she would have her running clothes on. They would do whatever they were doing, and then it could be 20 miles from home, and then she's like, I'll meet you guys at home, and she'd get out of the car and just start running back home.
Here, Sharon Farrar Griefer. Yeah, that's the woman.
All right, I'm gonna have to look her up again.
Yep, it's a pretty amazing thing. So there you go.
All right, well, that was a very interesting conversation we had tonight. We talked about...
It was an improvisation.
It was, and we got a lot, we talked about a lot. So I hope you enjoyed it tonight, and then we'll be back on Thursday for our next episode, and you're just going to have to stay tuned because we have no idea what we're going to talk about then.
We never do.
We don't. But have a good rest of the night, and we will talk to you guys later. Bye.